If my poem is doing da 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 da, that's a different rhythm than if my poem is doing da 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 da, right? So kind of deciding what's the rhythm that works best for my poem. So if I'm writing a poem about a train or like a horse galloping or something like that, maybe those longer forms with like the anapaests, we're gonna just like understand, understand, understand. You can't get it almost has like a galloping motion to it. You know, that might be really effective. Okay, but maybe I need something that is going to be like maybe it's a poem that has lots of like thunder and lightning. So there's like a big crash and it gets quieter, like dum 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 dum. But what else can we say about rhymes? I'm noticing that the rhymes are at the end of the line, which is what you expect, not surprising there. But the other thing that's happening, what do all these first lines have in common? They're all end stopped. If someone says that your line is end stopped, what that means is basically when the line ends, the sentence ends. There's basically two things that are odds when you're writing. You have the grammatical sentence of what you're saying, and then you have the literal line length. Okay, so like for instance, if I return back to our poem, did I find Jesus or did Jesus find me? So if that's my first line, notice that that's a question, and that question ends on the line, right? So the line ends on me, and the sentence also ends on me. So one of the things that you can do when you're writing is you don't have to necessarily follow that. I never used to pray except when I was down. This is the very first time where we get something that is called enjambment. This is the very first line where the line ends, but the sentence keeps going. Just because the line ends doesn't mean that the sentence has to end. What ends up happening if you don't do that is your rhymes start being very strong. Did I find Jesus or did Jesus find me? The answer I seek is not always plain to see. Why is it with me? These questions I ask, I don't find it straightforward, no simple task. You see, like the super, super strong rhymes kind of just start like hitting your reader over and over and over again with them. It could be a little bit heavy. Versus, I'm not too proud to say I never used to pray except when I was down and the sky was all gray. As I write words before you, I know it's selfish of me. I didn't believe in Jesus. It's like that line to me. There's a little bit more nuance going on. The rhymes aren't so much of a burden. They're present. You can hear them, but they don't distract away from what's happening in the poem. This stanza also becomes it's a lot more complicated. Also because we have these commas that are occurring mid-line, right? And these commas and these semicolons. So because the other lines they kind of just they don't have as much of that complexity. But in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, of some punctuation, which is really impacting your poem and breaks the rhythm down. Like, I'll say two stanzas and see if you can hear a difference. Did I find Jesus or did Jesus find me? The answer I seek is not plain to see. Why is it with me? These questions I ask. I didn't find it straightforward. No simple task. I'm not too proud to say I never used to pray except when I was down, and the sky was all gray. As I write words before you, I know it's selfish of me. I didn't believe in Jesus. It's so plain to see. Very different rhythm, right? By adding in those like punctuation. Maybe a final strategy for tonight. So we've been going for a while. Let's take a look at the types of rhymes being used. So we have me and see, because that's like a perfect rhyme. Ask, task, is another perfect rhyme. Hear, tear. Okay, that's a perfect rhyme. And so now we changed it, right? So this stands all of them. All of these words rhyme. Perfect rhymes are basically two words that rhyme like 99%. You're just pretty much changing like one letter. Nothing wrong with perfect rhymes, but something you can do to keep things a little bit fresh and a little bit more subtle would be using things like off rhymes or slant rhymes, where basically words that don't exactly rhyme. Words like, for instance, once and butter. So these are words that have the same vowel sound. So using off rhymes is a strategy you can use to make your rhymes less of a burden.